Valheim very well could be one of the most flawless early access game launches I've ever seen. To provide 100 hours of entertainment takes a lot of effort and smart designs, which sadly a heap of games lately just can't seem to get right. A lot of people aren't gonna stick around to wait for a game to just get better. So even though titles like Fallout 76, Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky, they're actually really fun and content filled now, their launches will forever haunt them. Valheim has completely surpassed all of my expectations by just being one of the most well-polished, content-filled, fun survival games, not to mention early access titles I have ever played. I haven't felt this good about an early access game since Minecraft, and that's because that game broke every border we thought couldn't be broken. They released an early access look, just an unfinished version of the game that was so friggin' good and addicting that it did something both good and bad for gaming. It inspired more people to release their early access games. Now, I'm not gonna deny that there's been a lot of good early access titles released, but there have also been many, many more that just wanted that instant success to be the next Minecraft. And so they boasted insane amounts of content, and in the end, it was nothing what they said it'd be. Those, my friends, are the lies and failures of early access games that turned a lot of us away from even bothering to buy them anymore. But then, Valheim. I was definitely skeptical at first, but ESO over here told me, hey, this game is really good, you should play it. And me, wanting to look cool, said, sure. And then I played it for 14 hours straight. Valheim is the best possible survival game outcome you can get if you're not wanting to play a game full of chores. None of the tasks are grueling and make you beyond bored. When you dismantle your ugly house because, well, it's ugly, you get every single part back to rebuild it probably still ugly, but less ugly. Valheim is about fun at its core. It never boasted to be the next Minecraft. It never advertised itself as the greatest early access title or said, hey, you buy this game, you'll get a free little Viking hat. It says, oh yeah, I bought Valheim. You know what Valheim did do? It made a dang good fun game that's an experience you don't want to miss. In my 100 hours, I've explored the far reaches of the world, which, by the way, is procedurally generated, so every single map you play can be entirely different. I've fought these absolutely massive and actually tough-to-kill bosses. I've sailed to dangerous regions and then accidentally brought one of those one-shotty mosquitoes onto a boat that killed my friends. I've built not one, but 7 massive bases around the map, and that's just my main bases. I have 15 other camps. The thing is, I still haven't beat the game yet. At 100 hours, I'm still plugging away to build the confidence to venture into these horrifying zones to see what lies beyond. Because believe me, when you're playing solo and you see this, yeah, it kind of doesn't scream, get over there. Or maybe it does. Valheim has an extensive amount of content for an early access title with the promise of so much more, and it's unbelievable how much they've packed into this 1 gigabyte game. And how perfect it seems to be. I mean, I'm 100 hours in, and I've yet to run into a crash, to find any game-breaking bugs, or just break the game in general. The insanely good devs over at Iron Gate managed to create pretty much a flawless early access game, which is unheard of. And before we really dive into content, gonna put this to rest. I've tried to compare this game to so many different games at this point that I realize it's just its own thing. I'm over here on stream getting the question, what is this game like, Kevduit? And then I babble on for 5 minutes like, oh yeah, so it's like Dark Souls, but it married Zelda, and then Minecraft was the baby, but then they also adopted Skyrim, and then all the in-laws are Ark, Rust, The Forest, and Valhalla, but then there's a gonna be honest with you, the graphics of Valheim might be a bit of a turnoff for some people. Already got heaps of, this game bad graphics comments, and to each their own for sure, but Valheim fully embraces the PlayStation 2 graphics, and they actually look amazing. But even before you can try to criticize the graphics, Goth Big Bird airdrops you into Stonehenge and says, Valheim's combat is some of the best you'll get in a survival game. You've got your light attacks, heavy attacks, super attacks, block, dodge, parry, airstrike, stealth, and assassinations. It just goes on. And although a lot of the game focuses on survival, they absolutely did not just put slapstick combat into the game. It's very well rounded and balanced, and no matter where you are, each enemy attacks you differently. Some are more cowardly, while others are crazy aggressive. It's a great combat system with lots of different weapons and playstyles. But yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, that PvP, it's not so good. That needs a little bit of work. But the world you explore, each biome offers so much in terms of resources and rare loot, but then you take a second to just look at the places, No two biomes look the same. The meadows are lush and green with trees throughout. The Black Forest is this sunset all day sort of place where you'll only see the sun because it's an orange tint in the sky. And then the plains are these golden rolling hills with birch trees. The Mistlands are basically the stuff of nightmares. But each area is so unique that even when you go from a meadow through a Black Forest into another meadow, the two meadows feel like entirely different places. And then each area has all this stuff to do, like dungeons and crypts and troll caves. It's like having a Zelda game in a survival game. And then you've got the building. It never gets old. No matter how far I go to explore or how screwed I am in a certain area, I always take the time to build even basic camps to escape the harsh effects of being outside at night. They've got it perfect with the building besides one thing. Snapping pieces together is so precise that your hands will literally start shaking because you're so incredibly focused, and then BAM! You place it in the entirely wrong spot and your house is ruined. Just kidding, you can just destroy it and try again. But honestly, the building is so good. People are already making these insane structures, and using the support beam system, it only adds more detail and personable looks to your builds. I hardly ever focus on building cool houses in games, and look at me! I'm building I don't know, but I think it looks good. And what about that survival, huh? The crafting, the cooking, the hunting, all that stuff. You could do all that stuff alone for hours on end and never get bored. They have got so much packed into this game, and nothing is forced. You never feel like you have to eat or have to find shelter. Of course, the negative effects gained from not eating or being in the cold will hurt you, but you'll never die from it. Unless it's frost damage, then you'll definitely die. But then when you do dive into the survival aspect, it's addicting. There's heaps of various gear sets to craft, and the more you mine and collect, the more your character will learn to create. You'll want to make all these foods and fermented potions, various armors and weapons to prepare yourself. And why prepare? Because this game has consequences. Now, I've heard a lot of people both love and hate this system. I personally enjoy it, but how Valheim manages skill points is a lot like Oblivion, the greatest game ever created. Valheim gets rid of all the skill and attribute point allocation and focuses entirely on, you punch that tree, your unarmed is going on up. But you hit that tree with an axe, both your axe and your wood chopping skills go up. You see what I'm doing here? This game has included pretty much every single detail in leveling, where the higher your skill is in a certain area, the more damage you'll deal or the less stamina you'll consume. Dying, however, can set back some of your skill points. Not by a ton, but enough that it makes you not want to Super Meat Boy your way through this game. There was a point where my friend and I prepared for an hour to fight the third boss of the game. We had the best armor we could get, we had the finest of cuisines, the greatest of potions. Can I please have a poison resistance potion, Kev? You couldn't handle my poison resistance potions, Philip. And we ran into that swamp and got barfed on by Flubber's big brother until we cried. Valheim, when you're playing either solo or with your friends, has become a totally balanced experience. When you've got more people on your server, the enemies will be tougher, but you'll be able to progress through the game faster, mine more resources, sacrifice your friends to the Deskitos, and have either the greatest or the worst building experience ever. Hey, that looks stupid! You look stupid! But the game is also focused on the solo player, so it's not brutally difficult or takes way too long to do anything. Slower than with friends, but not by too much. I've played about 15 out of the 100 hours with either one friend or more, and it's always a great time, but I never feel like I'm useless when I play by myself. And let's quickly mention that this is not the most difficult game out there. A lot of people watching me play over on twitch.tv/Kevduit assumed from my gameplay that the game is just brutally difficult Dark Souls. If you're just properly geared up and know the combat maneuvers, it's not that difficult. But if you run into a swamp completely naked with only raspberries and a torch, then yeah, you're playing Dark Souls. And now listen up! The music of Valheim could not be more perfect. Valheim manages to have this beyond atmospheric soundtrack that no matter which biome you're in, the time of day or the weather, if you're fighting or if you're sailing, it draws you into the moment. The meadows are a beautiful uplifting song, whereas the Black Forest is a much more mysterious and bassy tune. Sailing on the ocean gives off that Wind Waker vibe of exploration, while the Mistlands are We need more people talking about this music, man. It's so dang good. When Minecraft launched way back in late 2009, so many people laughed and jeered at the way it looked or what it was. then it managed to become one of the greatest games ever made. Valheim is easily becoming one of those experiences, a game that is still in early access, so folks were hesitant to support it, but I'm telling you, this is one of those diamonds in the rough, folks. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. This game is a 10 out of 10. And then there's Starforge!